Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss the poem The French Revolution as it appeared to enthusiasts at its commencement by William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth from 1770 to 1850 was a renowned English romantic poet, best known for his celebration of nature and his pioneering contributions to the romantic movement. He was famous for works like a line composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey and I Wander Lonely as a Cloud, also known as Daffodils. His most influential work, Lyrical Ballad, in 1798 marked a turning point in English poetry, emphasizing the power of nature and the importance of individual experience. This poem reflects the initial optimism of Wordsworth and other poets about the French Revolution and its potential for the transformation of the society. This poem is written in the blank verse and it captures the idealism of many intellectuals, the poet, how the poet feels at that point of French Revolution and during its early days. This poem also subtly acknowledge the eventual disillusionment that happens with the violence and the chaos of the later years. This poem is notable for its three things. Number one, its romantic language. Number two, its philosophical depth. And then number three, its blending of personal emotions with the broader social commentary, because it's not just the emotions of the Wordsworth, because it's also the commentary on that society. Wordsworth commented on that society through this poem. The title of the poem, The French Revolution, as it appeared to enthusiasts at its commencement, it shows the idealistic view of the French Revolution as the beacon of liberty and the hope, and it highlights the revolutionary spirit of many enthusiasts of that time, many poets, including the Wordsworth himself. And the phrase "at its commencement," it shows the contrast, because at the beginning it was very revolutionary, it was the beacon of hope, it was the beacon of liberty, and the later on it became the disillusionment. So this is the nostalgic reflection of that lost ideals. Oh, pleasant exercise of hope and joy. The poem starts with a literary device of exclamation. Exclamation is a figure of speech or dramatical construction used to express strong emotions such as excitement, surprise, anger, joy, or urgency. It often conveys the heightened emotions and is typically punctuated with exclamation marks. Oh, pleasant exercise of hope and joy. Now, Wordsworth is calling French Revolution a pleasant exercise of hope and joy, and oh shows the excitement of the Wordsworth about this French Revolution. For mighty were the auxiliaries. Now, auxiliaries were the comrades, or also we can say the ideals, the ideas of the French Revolution, which stood upon our side, who were strong in love. Now he's saying that the ideas were stood with us. So that's an example of personification. Another literary device. Personification is a literary device that assigns human qualities, emotions, or actions to non human entities such as animals, objects, or abstract ideas. It is used to create vivid imagery and make descriptions more relatable and engaging. So Wordsworth starts the poem with the exclamation of hope and joy, which shows its immense optimism of other revolutionaries about the start of the French Revolution. He's saying that we have ideals of liberty, ideas of paternity at the start of the French Revolution, who were strong in love. We were very strong in love with that ideas, and that idea stood in our side. We were very enthusiastic about our ideas, and our ideas, and we have a deep belief in humanity, we have a strong love for humanity at that time. These auxiliaries could be the ideas, and these auxiliaries could be the soldiers who that stood at that upon our sides. Okay, there could be two meanings of these auxiliaries who were strong in love. Bliss were it in that dawn to be alive. Now he's talking about the people, and the dawn is not just the Monday. The beginning of the French Revolution started not just a Monday. The dawn could be the beginning of the French Revolution. Um, a period. Okay, so the people who were alive at that time, it was a blessing for those people that they were alive at that time, but to be young was a very heaven. But for the young people who could take took part in that movements, and they were more energetic, and they were more heavy and they happy, and it was heaven for those people. Or time in which the meager stale forbidding ways of custom law and state to took at once the attraction of a country in romance. Now he's talking about the revolutionary transformation. He's talking about the promises, that there was promises that these meager, these outdated laws and customs, they would be changed, and there would be a new laws, and there would be new customs. They were promises of a very vibrant and appealing society. Now, Wordsworth is given as an imagination, and this imagination of the era of revolution. And so he's saying that these promises were the attraction of the country in romance. He's looking these promises in a very romantic way, because that time was of a political upheaval, and these promises, this symbol of change, and these symbol of possibility were like happy and romantic for those people. Imagery is a literary device that uses descriptive and sensory language to create vivid mental picture in the reader's mind. It appeals to the five senses: sound, smell, sight, taste, touch, helping to immerse the audience in the scene or emotion being described. Now I have read these whole 8 lines without any disturbance in order to create the image in your minds. I hope you all have this imagery in your minds of this dawn of French Revolution, when there are all promises, and there's all visions of this promising and beautiful morning in the minds of the people. So that's an example of imagery. So metaphor is the figure of speech that describe one thing as it for another, highlighting the similarity or shared quality between two things. Unlike a simile, which uses like or as. Okay, so metaphor is a comparison between two things without using like and as. Simile use like and as. Okay. In line number 4, bliss was it in that dawn to be alive. Wordsworth is comparing the beginning of the revolution with a single dawn. Now he's comparing two different things without using the word as and like. That's an example of metaphor. Okay. And in line number 5, but to be young was very heaven. Now he's saying, as I've explained, that he's saying that it was heaven for the young people. Now heaven is something very big, so that's an example of hyperbole. Hyperbole is a figure of speech that involves deliberate and extreme exaggeration to emphasize a point, evoke strong emotion, or create a dramatic or humorous effect. It is not to be meant to be taken literally. So, saying that for young it was heaven, it is not to be meant. It is meant not to be taken literally. That if it was heaven, it just it's exaggeration just to create an impact that it was too good for young people. When reason seemed the most to assert her rights, when most intent on making of herself a prime enchantress. Now Wordsworth is acknowledging the role of the reason, that reason guided the people, and guide, that it was the guiding principle who taught people others to stand out. He's saying that he's giving reason some mythical or some magical qualities, who became a enchantress, who became a magician and guided others. And now he's personifying reason, because he's giving a human quality of guiding others to reason, and also he's using a metaphor of comparing reason to a enchantress, to a magician. Because it was an era of enlightenment and people were getting aware of their rights. So and it was happening due to the reasoning, due to the logic. So he's saying all of this, that reason was guiding them to assist the work which was going forward in her name. He's saying that everything was happening under the name of reason, that everybody was claiming that there's no reason of this, there's no logic behind this, the logic of There's no law of this logic, there's no law of this logic, there's no law behind this. So everything, everybody was giving logic and reasons to, so that's why he's saying that which was then going forward in her name. Okay, so he was the logic, was the logic and reason was the guiding force of every happening, not favored sports alone, but the whole earth, the beauty of promise, that which sets at some moments might not be unfelt. So in these lines, he is giving that the revolution has some universal promise. He's saying that it has some universal appeal. It was not some favored sports that revolution was happening in only France. It has some universal appeal. The ideas extended beyond France. Okay, it compassed the whole world. He's saying that the whole earth, the beauty war of promise. Okay, at some moments might not be unfelt among the bowers of paradise itself. Now he's giving an allusion. Allusion is a literary device that refers to a person, place, event, or a work of art, often indirectly or briefly without detailed explanation. It relies on the reader's familiarity with the reference to create deeper meaning or context. So when the Wordsworth says that the ideas of the French Revolution uh, extend to the bowers of paradise itself, that the allusion to the biblical Eden, and it's just, he says this to emphasize the idea that the ideas extend to that extent. The budding rose above the rose full blown now is using the literary device of contrast. Contrast is a literary and rhetorical device used to highlight difference between two more ideas, characters, setting, or concepts by placing opposing elements side by side. Contrast emphasizes their distinct qualities and enhance the reader's understanding or engagement. Wordsworth uses the metaphor of budding rose for the promises of the revolution or the beginning of the French Revolution, and the rose full blown for the actual revolution or for the disillusionment of the revolution. So he's saying that the beginning of the revolution or the promises of the revolution were far more better than the actual revolution or the end result of the revolution. So the finished product, so he's hinting about the disillusionment of the finished product. What tempered at the prospect did not wake to happiness unthought of. Now he's asking a rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is a question asked to make a point, provoke a thought, or emphasize an idea rather than to elicit an actual answer. The answer is often and obvious. With this rhetorical question, Wordsworth was talking about the universal awakening. He was talking about the effect of these movements and effect of these promises on the people of all temperaments. He said that what temperament at the prospect did not wake up, what what temperament of the people who did not shaken up by these promises. The inert was rose, the people who did not the people who even not were aware of their rights, who didn't even wanted to wake up, were roused. Okay, and lively natures wrapped away. The people who never even imagined the purpose of their life before even roused, and the people who were naturally passionate are completely absorbed in revolutionary spirit. They who had fed their childhood upon dreams, they playfellow of fancy, who had made all powers of swiftness, subtlety, and strength. Now it's talking about the role of dreamers, the dreams of French Revolution. From childhood, they thought about their better future. The individuals who, in their childhood, they had these creative imaginations. They have these powers of swiftness, the fineness, cleverness, strength, who in lordly wise had stayed among the grandest objects of the sense, and dealt with whatsoever they found there, and if they had within some lurking right to wield it. Now Wordsworth is saying that those people who were actually potential and who have this power and who have this cleverness and fineness and creativity in their mind, who have this sense and dreams from their childhood. they have this lordly wise, and they live their life among the grandest objects like rivers, like in mountains, and they have dealt with whatsoever they found in their lives. So they have dealt with the hardships of their lives, and they have within some lurking rights to wield it. Like they were had something in their within themselves, that it was their right, their by birth, the right to take part in this French Revolution. Lurking right means they have innate human drive to explore, which symbolize the revolutionary spirit in themselves to wield the revolution. They too, who of gentle mood had watched all gentle motions. Schemers more wild and in the region of their peaceful selves. Now Wordsworth is contrasting two people. Previously, he contrasted two people, inert and those active people, and now he's contrasting two people. Firstly, those gentle mood who watched all gentle motions, and these had fitted their own thoughts. Secondly, schemers, more wild people, and in the region of their peaceful selves. Now it was then both found the meek and the lofty. Okay, the gentle people, the meek, and the lofty people. Firstly, the gentle and introspective people, and secondly, the adventurous and the wild dreamers. They are both, like he wanted to say that the all personalities of people, all people are uh, attracted towards the French Revolution. Did both find helpers to their heart desire and staff at hand. Now Wordsworth is saying that both groups, both inert and active group, both meek and lofty group, both groups find the means to realize their heart's desire, their dreams, and their purpose of life, what they want to do in their life, what they should be doing in their life, and stuff in their hands plastic as they could wish. Now, Wordsworth is saying that world itself is becoming the plastic. Why plastic? Because word is itself becoming moldable. Now you can turn world whatsoever you want to. Why? Because word is giving opportunity to those people. So turn me whatever you want. Now Wordsworth is using the metaphor of plastic for the world. Okay, were called upon to exercise their skills. Okay, so world is calling those people to use their abilities on himself, on the world, not in utopia subterranean fields. Now he's giving the illusion of two ideal perfect societies. He's saying that world is not utopia and these fields. Okay, he's saying that world is not this perfect. Okay, you change this world and shape the world into perfect. Okay, or some secreted island, heaven knows where. He's saying that these perfect societies are not a dream anymore. You can transform the real world and your real happiness into this. So it's your chance to do this. But in the very world, which is the world of all of us, okay, this place where in the end we find our happiness, not or not at all. Okay, now this is your chance, this is your world, do whatever you want to do, use your abilities to transform it, or otherwise you will lose it. Wordsworth is hinting the disillusionment that the word is at the stake, the word is at the hands of those revolutionaries, that this is their last chance to transform it if they want to, otherwise the world would lose their happiness, or not in this phrase, or not at all, that otherwise all will lost. This is the last chance, that mold it whatever you want. Okay. Antithesis is a rhetorical device that involves placing two opposing or contrasting ideas next to each other to highlight their difference. So, in the very last line of the poem, we find our happiness or not at all. Poet uses antithesis because he compares two very different ideas. We find our happiness. Okay, if you follow my ideas, we find our happiness. We build our utopian world, or not at all. If you don't follow these ideas, then we'll have a dystopian world. So two completely opposing ideas in one single line is example of antithesis. These are the themes of the poem: revolutionary idealism, connection between humanity and nature, power of imagination and creativity, universal unity, and disillusionment and loss. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you have any question regarding the video, you can ask in the comments below. Also, you can give your worthy suggestions about the next video to explain in the comments. Don't forget to like and share the video, and also subscribe my channel and press the bell icon to get the notification of the next video.